I absolutely loved reading Surah Yusuf, and now it's time for me to read about the story of Joseph in the Bible, and I'm going to come here and compare the two stories with you guys. Now, I want to make a few disclaimers. I am much more familiar with the Qur'an than I am familiar with the Bible. For example, I had to literally Google, where's the story of Joseph in the Bible? And I also feel like the Qur'an is much more organized, because if I wanted to go to Surah Yusuf, it's its own surah. It's its own chapter, whereas in the Bible the story of Joseph is not its own chapter, it's in Genesis, and Google told me that the story of Joseph is in Genesis 37 through 50. I also want to apologize for my lighting. It's currently 10:30 p.m. and my baby's sleeping, so I have my little baby ring light on my phone, but it's not doing much, so I apologize. All that being said, let's get into it. It feels weird not saying Bismillah before I'm about to read a holy book, like in the name of God. But anyways, in the name of God. This is the account of Jacob. Joseph, a young man of 17. Off the bat, we already see a difference. So in the Qur'an, Joseph was a child. It was before puberty. And in the Bible, it's starting at him being 17. Now, Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons. If Jacob is Joseph's father, why are they calling him Israel? Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons because he had been born to him in old age, and he made a richly ornamented robe for him. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word to him. One similarity we can see in the Qur'an and in the Bible, Joseph had envious brothers. Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field, when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered all around mine and bowed down to it." His brother said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule over us?" And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. Then he had another dream, and he told it to his brothers. "Listen," he said, "I had another dream, and this time the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me." When he told his father, as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him and said, "What is the dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually bow down to the ground before you?" His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. Okay, in the Qur'an, it doesn't really mention dreams until Joseph is in jail. Here in the Bible, it's just like straight away, Joseph's having dreams. He's telling his father, he's telling his brother, he's telling his whole family. Let's continue. Now his brothers had gone to graze their father's flocks near Shechem, and Israel said to Joseph, "As you know, your brothers are grazing the flocks near Shechem. Come, and I'm going to send you to them." Now, another difference, in the Qur'an, the older brothers were begging the father to take Joseph with them, where in the Bible, the father sent Joseph with the brothers. "Very well," Joseph replied. So he said to him, "Go and see if all is well with your brothers and with their flocks, and bring the word back to me." Then he sent him off to the valley of Hebron. Okay, I'm sorry, I do not know how to pronounce most of these names. Joseph arrived at Shechem. A man found him wandering around in the fields and asked him, "What are you looking for?" He replied, "I am looking for my brothers. Can you tell me where they are grazing their flocks?" "They have moved on from here," a man answered. "I heard them say, 'Let's go to Dothan.'" Bruh, why are these towns' names so difficult? God forgive me, but oh my gosh. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them near Dothan. But they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. Another similarity, Joseph's brothers wanted to take him out. "Comes that dreamer," they said to each other. "Come on, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns." Is that a well? "Let's say that a ferocious animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams." In the Qur'an, they went back to their father crying that a wolf devoured Joseph. And here, it doesn't specify the animal as of right now that I'm seeing, but it does say, let's say that a ferocious animal devoured Joseph. When Reuben heard of this, I'm assuming Reuben is one of the brothers, let me know. When Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. "Let's not take his life," he said. "Don't shed any blood. Throw him into the well." I'm just going to say well instead of cistern. Okay, guys, we got it? Okay. "Let's throw him into the well here in the desert, but don't lay a hand on him." Reuben said this to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the richly ornamented robe he was wearing, and they took him and threw him into the well. Now the well was empty, there was no water in it. As they sat down to eat their meal, they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead? Guys, I'm sorry. Camels were loaded with spices, balm, and myrrh, and they were on their way to take them down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." His brothers agreed. Okay, so in the Qur'an, they dumped him in the well, left, and went back crying to the dad. In the Bible, one of the brothers advocated for him and said, let's not kill him, let's not harm him, let's just sell him off. Whereas in the Qur'an, one day, like, travelers were passing by and they found Joseph and they sold him off because they saw him as unworthy. They didn't care. They just wanted to get rid of him. And it says they sold him for a cheap price. In the Bible, the brothers are selling Joseph. It's going to be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Come back for part 2. I don't know how many parts this is going to take, but I'm really enjoying this. We can see there's some similarities and some major differences. I'm coming, baby. Okay, I have to go tend to my child. I love you guys. I hope I see you back for part 2.